snap, we're live. We're live. Where's everybody? I have 0 followers. I'm excited for today. I'm excited. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna wait for my boy Sarif to chime in so I can spit this newfound knowledge. There he is. Good morning. Good morning. Oh man, have I got a message for y'all on what I've learned from reading this book. I'm gonna wait until a couple more people jump in until after the market opens to start getting into it, but I feel good. I'm excited about the next couple weeks trading. Not today. I'm excited about today, but what I'm about to try to implement is going to take time. It's going to take a couple weeks, really, like maybe a month or a couple of months. But yeah, I'm going to share it. I'm basically going to sum up. I'm going to sum up what I've learned in this book. I'm going to sum up the 5 fundamental truths of trading and 7 principles of consistency, and just talk about. I'm going to summarize the book, like all 11 chapters, into a couple minute talk, but I'm going to wait just in case a couple other people jump on here and want to listen until we're waiting until the 9 a.m. Central Time candle comes for when we're going to place our trades. Then I want to be focused on trading, not talking about what I'm doing and what I read in the book. But we'll have some time between when the market opens and when it's time to start placing trades to talk about what I learned. And Sarif, I think this is going to motivate you and help you, because I think this is the secret. The trick is, can you apply it? Because you can know it, but wisdom is applying what I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to be tested too to see if I'm going to do the same thing. Good morning, everyone. We just had the Nasdaq push down over 250 points on the 1 minute here. Look at this. This huge candle. We had some news come out at 7:30 that drove the market way down. And yeah, I'm excited to share some stuff that I learned by reading this book called Trading in the Zone. I've read all 11 chapters now. I'm finished. I've summarized some stuff and wrote it down on my notebook that I'm going to share with you all. So you can go and read the book, or you can kind of just pay attention and listen to some of the information that I'm going to share with you all that I really think will increase your success rate in trading if you apply it. That's the key part, not just knowing it. Wisdom's applying the knowledge. Same thing for me. We're going to see over the next couple of weeks and months if this will help me. It's going to take time. I have no expectations today that we're going to have a green day or a red day, but I do have an expectation that over the long run, over the next couple of weeks, over the next 20 trades, if I follow this, we will be profitable. So we got 5 people on here now. The market opens in 10 minutes. I'm not going to be placing any trades for another 40 minutes. So I guess right now I can kind of begin talking about what I learned. We got a couple people here. So this is some good stuff, because for a while I had a pretty good high win rate following the strategy, but I was getting to the point where I was coming out of trades too quickly, like not taking profits, or taking profits too quickly, which is something a lot of people struggle with. They may get consistent with losing and consistent with like knowing how to cut their losers fast and sticking to rules and their strategy, being disciplined, being patient. And we went on these kind of like streaks where I was doing that, but then I was taking profits way too quickly. There's a couple things that led to that. So I was getting these small wins just for the market to move in my direction so much more, and I left a lot of money on the table. And ultimately, our risk to reward ratio was terrible, and I wasn't building equity in the account and making money. So one of the changes that I made was I went from trading mini contracts to micro contracts to mini contracts. And I now know that I shouldn't have done that yet until I have way more equity and way more accounts. So we're back to trading micro contracts. I had a couple people that made that recommendation, and I really didn't want to listen to them. I was like, oh, what do they know? And no, I'm trading minis and I'm not doing that. But we're going back to micros. So that's the first step. And what that's going to allow me to do is to scale in and out of trades easier, obviously. So I kind of I wrote down a list of rules besides my main rules for my edge and my strategy. And you're not going to be able to see all this, but I'm going to read them out loud to you. But I kind of I got over here the 5 fundamental truths and 7 principles of consistency, which is summarized from this book. And then on the other side, I have a strategy and a set of rules for how to take profits while I'm in the trade, like a methodical, mechanical way of securing profits where I don't have to close out my partial profits based off of my feelings and my emotions, but I'm going to take profits based off of guidelines and mechanical, like rigid rules. So oftentimes when people are trading, they don't have rigid rules, but they have very fluid expectations as to what the market is going to do for them. When in reality, you need to have rigid rules and like no expectation for what the market's going to do. So I'm going to just read this to you, and then I'm going to explain my process for how I'm going to be taking profits if we get into a winning trade today. And then I'm going to talk about how trading, in a way, if you want to be a successful professional trader, they think in terms of probability, and they operate almost like a casino operates. And what I mean by that is a casino doesn't ever try to predict when it's going to have to pay out somebody that's gambling in their casino. They don't try to predict if the dealer is going to win the blackjack game. They just know that over the course of the long run, the casino makes like 4 or 5 cents per dollar. And in the long run, the money is flowing to them. They have an edge, and they may have a red day, and they don't try to predict when somebody's going to beat them at their blackjack game, or they don't try to predict when they're going to have a green day or a red day. They just know that over the long run, if they follow this set of rules, which is blackjack, the money flows to the casino more than it flows to its customers coming in. So when you can think of your trading journey and your trading job almost like you're operating a casino, there's 5 truths that you'll find to be like true. Number 1, anything can happen. When we place a trade, anything can happen. The market can go in our direction or against our direction. And the reason being is that there's a random amount of people that are in long positions. There's a random amount of people that are in short positions. And then there's people like us right now that are in no position. I'm in no trade right now. Right now, I'm just watching the chart. I'm waiting to enter. There's a random amount of people in the world that are sitting at their computer right now, and they're also waiting to place a trade. And at any point in time in our universe and in the world is a unique scenario, because it'll never be the same thing. Like every single chart and every day is unique. Never again will this 2-minute chart, the way it looks right now, be exactly identical to the tick and exact price. All these candles will never look identical again. Every day is unique. So number 2 of the 5 truths after anything can happen is you don't need to know what is going to happen next in order to make money. The casino doesn't need to know that, hey, when this person sits down at our blackjack table, we know we're going to win this game. They don't know they're going to win that specific trade or that specific game. They know that it's random and anything can happen. But they know that if 20 people sit down at that table to play blackjack, they're going to make more money than they lose. And that's all they care about. They don't care about winning every single trade or every single game. Because the third rule is that there's a random distribution between wins and losses for any given set of variables that define an edge. So if I actually follow my rules and I follow my edge, even when you do that and you follow the rules, let's say I have a 70% win rate. That means 30% of the time I lose. And those winners and losers are random. You could have 4 losses in a row, lose a trade, come back tomorrow, lose a trade, come back tomorrow, lose a trade, lose 3 trades in a row. Then you could win 7 trades in a row. It's random. You could win 4 trades and then lose 2, or win 8 trades and then lose 1, and then win 5. It's random every time. So because you know that that's the truth of how the reality works and how the external environment and the trading market works, that is how it works every time, whether you believe it or not, that's the truth. Then you know that, hey, if I just lost, I'm not going to get emotional. I'm not going to get sad. I'm not going to get upset. And if I win, I'm not going to get super high and super happy because it's random. I just know that I followed my rules and I followed my edge. And in the long run, the money flows to me. Just like the casino, the money flows to the casino. So the 4th rule out of the 5 truths is an edge is nothing more than an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over another. So I've looked back at data and I've looked at these charts and done technical analysis, which is just a portion of being a successful trader. I think more importantly is the things that I'm talking about, not being able to analyze the charts technically. You do have to have an edge, and there's different edges and strategies, but I think what I'm talking about is more important than your specific strategy and edge. But it's nothing more than an indication that if you followed it every day, more times than not, you're going to win. So that's all an edge is. And then 5, every moment in the market is unique. So we already talked about that. Every single every moment is unique. So good traders really live in the now moment. They don't live in the past and they don't live in the future. And I think that's important in our real life too, just as human beings going throughout our days, is to live in the moment, live in the present moment, because that last trade that you took that was a win or a loss has no impact on the current trade you're about to take. You can either buy or you can sell, and it's random and anything can happen. So if you believe that to be true, if you go and lose 3 trades in a row, some people will start to feel bad and they'll think they're going to lose again, or they don't feel good. Anything can happen, and the market is unique. So when you follow your edge, and because it has a random distribution of wins and losses, just keep moving forward and live in the now moment, live in that flow state. So those are the 5 truths. Then there's in this book, which is again titled Trading in the Zone. We got the market opening in 1 minute here, or 4 seconds. They have what's called the 7 principles of consistency. So I'm going to read that to you really while we're waiting for the first 15 minutes to form anyway, according to our edge and our rules. Right now, we're not trading anyway because the market just opened. So we're going to wait for the 15-minute candle to close so we can mark the high and the low. Then we're going to wait another 15 minutes for this 9 a.m. news to come out. We're going to determine if the market is trending up or down. We're going to look for bear or bull flags above or below that zone. And then we're going to enter based off of a set of rules. And we're going to take profits based off of a set of rules that I'm going to explain as well. But even when I do all of that, and I think I know what the market's going to do, right there, you're wrong by thinking that you know what the market's going to do based off of all those rules. Because again, it's a random distribution of wins and losses, and you don't know what's going to happen next, and anything can happen. So even if I follow all of that, we can still lose today. Today could be the day where I have to pay the market, where I have to lose a couple $100, because even if you have a 70 or 80% win rate, there's going to be days where you're red, because it's not a 100% win rate. It's a 60% win rate, or it's a 70% win rate, or it's an 80% win rate. That means that there's days where you have to lose. You have to. So if you have to lose and you're making millions of dollars, then you should be fine with when you lose, because you know it's just part of the process. You have to, just like you have to have days where you have green days. It's random. So too many people get caught up in over analyzing the market and the charts and the technicals that they feel like they know what it's going to do. So when the market goes in the opposite direction, how do they feel? They feel like shit. Humans don't like being wrong. When you're in an argument with somebody and you're debating your significant other or your Maybe you're in an argument with your child who's 10 years old, and you're arguing with him, like, and you want to be right, or you know, your boss at work, or coworkers, or family, like anybody. When you're arguing, people like to be right, and it feels good when they're right. When they find out that it's been proven that they were right, you get good chemicals get released in your brain and you feel good. Vice versa, when you're wrong, you feel bad. So with trading, too many people try to overanalyze the charts and be really technical because they want to know when they place that trade. So that's where anxiety comes from, and stress. And I've felt this way so many times because I've worked so hard to make sure that I knew I was going to be right. And then when I put on the trade, let's say we're shorting and it starts ticking up and going in the opposite direction, I'm losing money. My heart starts racing. I start feeling bad because I'm like, no, I'm losing money, and you know, I'm wrong right now. And I thought I was going to be right, and I knew I was going to be right. You were wrong right there when you thought you knew what it was going to do. None of us predict the future. It's called futures trading, but it doesn't mean we predict the future. So, because it just goes back to the 5 rules. Anything can happen. Every moment in the market is unique, and you don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. Again, you don't need to know what the market's going to do next to make money. I know that sounds like the opposite of the truth, and it probably sounds like the opposite of what you've believed to be true. It does kind of go against what my beliefs were. So if that's your belief, you have to untrain your brain to not think that way anymore. And as Albert Einstein said, energy cannot be created, it cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. Our beliefs, when you have a belief that's so strong, like believing in Santa Claus when you're a little kid, like it takes a lot for that belief to change. It doesn't really, it just transforms into a different belief. Like when your parents finally tell you Santa's not real, like it just can't, like, it's a physical memory and part in your brain that just, the energy just gets transformed. So you're going to have to retrain your brain to believe that I don't know what the market's going to do next, and I don't need to know, because I know that if I follow my rules and my edge over the long run, the money flows to me. Just like the casino doesn't need to know that, hey, when this guy sits down at this blackjack table in our casino, we know we're going to win. They don't think that way. They just know that if he plays enough games, or if enough people play enough games at this table, we win in the long run. The probability is in our favor and we have an edge. That's all they need to know. And that's how casino makes money. And that's how you need to think as a trader. So then there's these 7 principles. And then the trick is applying all this. So right now it's just knowledge in my head, and I have it written down and I know it and I believe it to be true. The trick is now applying it as we trade over the next couple of days. As we trade today, we trade Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This is going to take a couple weeks, because part of the book says you want to have 20 trades as a sample size for an edge. And if I'm only trading 1 trade a day, that's 4 weeks. That means it's going to take us 20 days to see if this works. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to start applying this right away, because I'm going to have to go through psychological changes in parts of my brain to apply this. I'm going to do my best for you guys and for myself to do this, but it's going to take time. So, but they say 20 trades is the amount of sample size you want when you're defining an edge and seeing if it kind of works. So, and then I'm going to keep these 5 truths written down on my piece of paper so I can look at them and read them while I'm in my training session to remind myself of these truths. All right. So then the second thing is we're going to get into 7 principles of consistency. So I am a consistent winner because, and then there's 7 things. You need to think that you're a consistent winner. When I started running and exercising, some people like try to start running and they're out of shape. They might be like really heavy, and they're like, I want to run 5 miles by the end of the summer. And then they try to run like 100 yards and they lose their breath and they're like, dude, I can't do this. I can't even run 1 football field. And then they quit and they're like, now I'm going to try to do it again. And they give up or whatever. Like, you need to believe already that like you can do it before you're physically actually doing it, by just like taking baby steps and like slowly adding more and more and more. So right now we're going to trade with 6 micros. Then as I'm consistent, I'm going to trade 12 micros and then 18. And we're going to take partial profits with 2 contracts, 2 contracts, 2 contracts. So when the market's pushing in our direction, we're going to take risk off the table and we're going to secure profits. And then we're going to take another 2 contracts off. And when we take that second 2 contracts off, I'm going to move my stop loss to break even. Now I'm going to be in a carefree state of mind where I can't lose now because we're in the profit. Even if the market reverses and hits my stop loss, it takes us out in the green. I've felt like this before. I know what this feels like. I've been in trades where I'm in that state of mind. So if we can consistently try to like achieve that, it's going to help us with our success. So that's kind of the technical way that I'm going to take profits. We're going to do 6 micro contracts and we're going to take them off in thirds. 2 contracts, 2 contracts, 2 contracts. So I have a mechanical, methodical way of taking profits, just like I have a mechanical, methodical way for entries. All right, and then the 7 principles of consistency are: 1, I objectively identify my edges. 2, I predefine the risk of every trade. 3, I completely accept risk, or I'm willing to let go of a trade. 4, I act on my edges without reservation or hesitation. 5, I pay myself as the market makes money available to me. 6, I continually monitor my susceptibility for making errors. And 7, I understand the absolute necessity of these principles of consistent success, and therefore I never break them. So, or violate them. I never violate them. Same thing. So, let's talk about that. I objectively identify my edges. That's what we're doing right now. We're objectively identifying and observing what the market's going to do. We're waiting for this 15-minute candle to close. In 6 minutes, we're going to mark the high and the low. We're going to look for our bear flag and our bull flags above and below the range. And we're objectively identifying if the market is giving us our edge. And it doesn't have to every day. Today could be a day where I place no trades, again, because I have no expectations and anything can happen. I'm positive that, hey, hopefully today's going to, or not hopefully, but today's going to be a good day. We're going to show up and do our thing and be positive. But also the market doesn't have to give us our setup, and I have no expectations and anything can happen. So that way I don't get real emotional about what's happening, because I understand that anything can happen and I don't know what's going to happen. So when you think that way, you don't get emotional. Number 2, I predefine the risk of every trade. When I've already been doing that really well for months now. I don't think I really struggle with that part, but when we get into a trade, I set a stop loss, and for the most part, I stick to it. And if the market hits, I don't move the stop loss and keep moving it because I think the market's going to reverse. If you're still struggling with that, that's like a beginner thing. Like, that's easy to fix. You shouldn't be struggling with that for too long. I did that a long time ago. Like, you set your stop loss and you keep it there. And that stop loss isn't based off of your feelings or emotions. It should be based off of what you're seeing on the chart and a technical analysis of the market. So if you have a wider stop loss, you might want to scale back and trade less contracts. If you have a tight stop loss and you're feeling confident and you've been doing well, like, you can maybe trade more contracts. But you should have a certain predefined risk for every trade that you stick to, and you completely accept that risk. Basically, when you put that trade on, you know that there's a risk. It could hit that stop loss, and that's the cost that I'm going to pay to find out if I was right or wrong. And I don't know that I'm going to be right, but if we're wrong, that's the price that I'm willing to pay to find out. So that way, when it hits it, you don't feel bad. You're not like, damn, I just lost $300, because you already knew when you went into the trade that you were risking $300, and you knew that anything can happen, and you don't need to know what's going to happen because you know over the long run that you're going to be profitable. So that's the third one. Number 4, I act on my edges without reservation or hesitation. You cannot let your feelings or emotions or anxiety prevent you from clicking that mouse. Like, if it's showing you your edge and your rules and you were focused and paying attention, then there should be no hesitation in you placing that trade. And I've struggled with this. And then if you miss it and it already happened, don't FOMO into that trade and get in late. I think I've done pretty well with that. But there's been a lot of times where I've watched the trade come and go, and I was like, damn, like, should have jumped in on that. And that's because I was feeling anxious, or I wasn't keeping in mind these truths that I've learned about in this book. I thought I had, like, just got emotional. So, and then 5, I pay myself as the market makes money available to me. So this is part of like something I've been struggling with taking profits, where this set of rules that I've written down on how to take partial profits, I think, is going to help. As the market's moving in your direction, take a little bit off the table, take some partial profits. When you take partial profits, not only are you locking in profits, but you're taking risk off the table, and you feel like you've created a mini win. When it hits it and you've secured some profits, now I feel better. Like I feel like, hey, I just grabbed a little bit of money. And then when I put my stop loss past break even, not too soon though, I've been doing that too soon sometimes. We're going to do it after we hit our second take profit level. Now I can't lose. Now whatever the market does, which can be anything, is either going to go back to my stop loss and take me out in the green, or we're going to make even more money. That's just kind of like bonus money. And then 6, I continuously monitor my susceptibility for making errors. You just have to stay focused and try to pay attention to what you're doing to not make errors. I mean, if you're making errors, you're just not focused and paying attention to your rules. Like I know every time YouTube freaking throws me an ad, I got to turn my head over here and hit skip, and I'm not focused for a second. But eventually I'll be able to pay for YouTube again. And then last, I understand the absolute necessity of these principles of consistent success, and therefore I never violate them. Because following all these is critical and what's going to be crucial to you becoming a consistent, successful winner in the markets. So I have all of those written down right here. Eventually I'll type them into my computer and probably have it up on a screen or put it somewhere in my office here, because I think this is something that every trader would benefit from and should understand, and is just the truth. And I think most people are not successful in trading. Most people are not consistent winners because their beliefs are the opposite of some of the things that I just said. It has to be that way. Their beliefs and their thoughts have to be wrong. Otherwise, if they were right and they were doing the right actions when they were trading, they would be winning. They wouldn't be losing. So for some reason in their brain, it's reversed, and it's not their fault. It's how all of our brains are wired this way. It's the way that your parents, some of the things your parents said to you when you were growing up, things that your environment influenced you with as a child and as a young adult. We all have these issues, and successful traders like naturally just changed their brain, or they understood this and applied it. Maybe they had to read a book like I did, but this is going to take time to apply too. So I'm going to do my best though to apply all of this stuff as I'm trading each day live on YouTube. But again, today when we place our trade, if we do place a trade, if our edge presents itself, I have no expectation as to if I'm going to win or lose. And that's not me not being positive. That's me thinking in terms of probabilities. Because a casino also doesn't go, oh man, today's feeling like a great day, guys. I feel like we're really going to win. They don't think that way because they know it's random. They know they just win over the long run. They go back and look the last year and they go, yeah, we made a couple $1 million. They don't go, oh, but on Friday, January 10th, we lost. They don't care about that. They don't care that they lost one day because they know they win in the big picture. So it has nothing to do with not being positive when I'm not showing up to the charts going, today's going to be a good day. I'm positive. Like, that's not how you're supposed to be as a trader, because now you're setting expectations that you know you're going to win, and you can't do that because the truth is anything can happen, and it's a random distribution of wins and losses according to these truths. That doesn't mean don't be positive in your life and your interactions with people and try to have, even when you lose money, you still have a good day. You should still feel blessed and happy, and you have the rest of your day. I don't sit and trade all day. I go to another job. I have other things I do. Today's still going to be a good day regardless of if we win or lose in trading, because overall we know that we'll win if we follow this. So the top of the 15-minute range is 197.25. So we're going to mark that. Right now the market's in between, inside the range right now. We got another 15 minutes till that news comes out. So I don't feel anxious right now about trying to place any trades because I know I don't have any trades to place for 15 minutes anyway, according to my edge. So it takes the stress away from thinking I need to predict or know what the market's going to do or place a trade right now, because I don't. So here's the bottom of the range. Market's trying to test the bottom right now. There it goes through the bottom of the 15-minute range. We got pre-market lows at 21,045. VWAP at 21,197 and the 21 EMA at 21,134. We got pivot point below the range down there at 21,043 and then another one at 20,984. Market putting that really big bearish move in pre-market. We'll see if we get break of these lows right here. We do have this pivot point here too. So, but we're just going to stick to our rules and our edge. We're not going to incorporate other edges or strategies yet. Eventually, I would like to have a second edge, probably a second entry method, because I know there's other strategies and other methods out there that I could be incorporating in my trading. Like some people would have shorted once we broke below these lows right here. And if we get continuation, they would be making money right now. Like, look at that. If you broke through that previous low and through this pivot point, got in at 21,040, for example, could be an edge right there. Like market now just pushed down 20 points. Could have taken a quick 20-point scalp there. You know, it just doesn't follow our edge and set of rules. And right now we're going to be consistent for 20 trades with following that first before we add any kind of new strategies or edges to our trading. So again, we do have news coming out in 11 minutes. So we're going to wait for that. Everything I just said for the 3 or 4 people watching it was like, not gonna lie, bro, that was worth millions of dollars right there. That information and knowledge and like stuff that I just said that I didn't create or invent, I just discovered in a book I read, and then summarized it. But it makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to y'all. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, but you know, I agree with what was said in the book, and now I just have to retrain the way my brain thinks. Because obviously I haven't been consistent and profitable. So if you want to go somewhere you've never been, you need to become someone you've never been. So I need to think differently than I've been thinking in order to get different results, right? If you want different results, you got to change the way you're thinking and acting. Your thoughts control your actions, actions control your results. So your beliefs have to change. If you're already a consistent, profitable trader, just keep doing what you're doing then. Don't change anything. All you got to do is scale up, buy more accounts, trade bigger size, make more money. Just keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not consistent and you haven't been profitable for months, obviously something's got to change. And it starts with your beliefs and your thoughts. So you're welcome for sharing. I'm glad to share this information because somebody came on here and all they did was shared this book with me, and I decided to find it online for $1 and read it over the past couple days. And I'm going to read it a second time probably. It's definitely a book you can read multiple times, but I took notes and I believe it. I believe it to be true, what they talked about in the book. It makes sense. It just makes sense. So, you know, it definitely didn't hurt my trading. It definitely probably only improved my trading, and it's going to take time to apply it though. It might be hard to apply this now in the beginning, because just like the person who decides that they want to run 5 miles when they're 300 pounds, it's going to be hard in the beginning for them to be running 5 miles. They're only going to be able to run a quarter mile and then a half a mile. And then next thing you know, they're running a full mile. And then before a couple months, they've gotten to the point where they can run 5 miles. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen right away. It takes time to slowly build into being able to run 5 miles before you can run 10 miles and then long distance running 30 miles. Like I run, when I go for a run, I run about 5 miles. But when I first started, I only ran a couple miles. I would get really tired. I weighed more. My breath, I would get out of breath a lot easier. So applying the things that I've learned in this book is going to be similar to like starting to become a runner when you're overweight. It's going to take time, and it's not something that I'm going to be probably good at right away. There's a probability that I won't be. Let's say that. I don't know, but there's a high probability that it's going to probably take a little bit of time, which is okay. So I'm excited to just apply this stuff. You know, right now we're kind of creating a bear flag on the 1 minute chart here and a bear flag on the 2 minute chart, but I kind of like to see a pullback to the 21 EMA better on the 2 minute, and then we look for a breakout on the 2 minute according to our edge. We are below this pivot point right now. The market could just continue to push down, though. We've been really bearish pre-market, and now we just put in a lower low. But this just doesn't really follow our edge completely. Like, I like to see it get a little closer to the 21 EMA, plus we haven't had that hourly candle close yet. So even if the market does continue and we kind of miss that continuation on down, doesn't matter. So anything can happen. You don't need to know what's going to happen next in order to make money. There's a random distribution of wins and losses for any given set of variables that define an edge. And the edge is nothing more than an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over another. Every moment in the market is unique. I mean, I don't know if any of y'all disagree with any of that, but I agree with all of that. That all sounds true to me. So you don't want to be a know-it-all, like you acting like you know everything and you know what the market's going to do next. So when you know that anything can happen, you're basically admitting that you don't know what's going to happen. You know that anything can happen. It's kind of like for weird psychology. It's like the opposite of probably what most people think when they're trading. They want to know what it's going to do before they click that button. You know, if you're a fortune teller and you can predict the future, I mean, you'll be a billionaire, but I'm pretty sure I don't know anybody that does that. I mean, it's becoming to be memory now, but no, I have it written down. Eventually, it will just be memory, and I won't have to look at this piece of paper. A lot of the stuff that I know about trading, I don't have written down anymore. I mean, I've been taking notes for months on trading, but eventually it does just stay up here. Like I used to do sales, and I had a sales pitch, and I had it written down, but eventually I knew my sales pitch so well that it was memorized. More importantly, I knew my sales pitch so well, not that I couldn't, that I got it right when I would say the whole thing, but I couldn't get it wrong. I was so good at my sales pitch that I couldn't get it wrong. Like there could be a bomb going off in the background and I was on a door selling solar and I wouldn't be fucking distracted. I was so focused. There could be a car accident right behind me. And I was like, I knew exactly where I was in my pitch. I knew exactly where I was in my process. And I was really good at my job. I used to, I was number one in the United States of America for appointment generation for windows, roofing, and siding standing in Sam's Club. I used to pitch members as they went from the checkout line and then they had their receipt and then they would go to the door and the person would have to check their receipt. They would have to walk by me and I would pitch every single person that walked by and they would rotate me from store to store. They would put me in one store one day and then I would go to Pennsylvania and be in another store. Then I would go to New Jersey and be in another store the next day. And they would rotate me so that I wasn't seeing the same people. And I would fucking set like 10 appointments a day. I was number one in the whole country. And the reason was because I was fucking focused and I made very few errors in my pitch. Like word for word, I was like almost perfect. And you have to be like that to have consistent results and be number one. And I was the number one marketing representative in all of America for a company called Power Home Remodeling, which is the largest residential remodeler in the country. And I became number one only after being there for a couple weeks. Like I shot up to the top of the leaderboard right away, and people were looking at me at the meetings like, yo, you're a freak. Like, how do you do it? I don't understand. I've been working here for 2 years, and it took me like 2 years to figure this out to be kind of good. Like, and I was like, dude, I just follow the process. I follow the training that they gave me word for word. Whatever the script said and the book said, they gave me this big book, and I had to memorize it. And I was like, I'm just following the rules and the book exactly. Like, I make very few mistakes. And when I do make a mistake, I don't set the appointment or I fuck up. But I'm like almost like a robot, like a machine. And I had it memorized. I had everything memorized. So this is why I started talking about that, because you said you have it all in your memory now. I had it all memorized. Right now, I don't have everything about trading like memorized yet. So I still have stuff written down. I have my checklist. I have stuff written down on my book, because right now I'm still practicing, and this is a lot harder than setting appointments for windows at Sam's Club. Trading is one of the hardest things that you will try to get consistent at and learn. And I've heard people say that, and I believe it, because it's never taken me this long to be successful at something. But it also has the potential to pay you more money than anything will ever pay you for how little of work you have to do. We click one fucking button on a mouse and can make like $50,000 in like 2 minutes. It's not supposed to be easy to get consistent at doing that. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. So, and that's why I'm not quitting, or I'm not getting too down about myself, because I've heard everybody say that this is one of the hardest things you'll do, and it takes a long time. It takes people years. So I don't even have a year in the game yet. I haven't even been trading for a year yet. Most people, it takes them years to figure this shit out. So, but this book that I read is a game changer. It's stuff like this that helps cut the learning curve and helps you get to success faster. I've yet to read a single book on trading yet, and I finally read a really good one. I'm really fortunate and grateful for whoever it was that made that comment on one of my streams to read Trading in the Zone. I don't remember who it was, but I knew that everything in this universe happens for a reason. And I knew that God did not put that person in my chat that day to tell me to read that book for no reason. I knew that that was an opportunity and a door that I wanted to go through and see what's on the other side of that door. Like, worst case scenario, I'm going to read this book and I'm not a better trader, and I didn't learn anything. Best case scenario, I'm going to read this book and it's going to change the game for me and I'm going to be better. And I believe that's what it did for sure. So now we're just going to have to apply it over the next couple of weeks. It's not going to be an overnight success or thing. But what's up, Michael? How you doing today? Hope you're having a good day. We're still at no trades here. We got market's been open now for a half hour. We got the hourly candle just closed. That bear flag looking like it just played out right there, but ain't going to jump in now. That might have been the one to grab. Hopefully, we'll see if we get another opportunity in the next hour. I was talking, but there it is. I mean, that was kind of a nice dip down to this pivot point. So it doesn't follow our rules or our edge to jump into this trade now, because a lot of the part that the book talks about is being in the now moment. Well, right now the price already moved. So if you want to live in the present, the price already just broke through that. So hopefully we'll get another bear flag in the next hour, something that pulls back up to that 21 EMA and then gives us an opportunity to get short. Right now the market's trading below the 15-minute range, putting in lower lows and lower highs. So we always trade with the trend according to our edge. And right there would have been a nice spot to get short, obviously, but we kind of built that bear flag. Obviously, I wish I would have got in on that now, but there's no going back. Maybe I was a little distracted talking to y'all. I'm going to have to practice with that too, with kind of reading what you're saying, but then also focusing on what I'm doing, because right now we are in our entry time frame, which is between 9 and 10 a.m. for entries. So we pushed up to the 21 EMA on the 1 minute, and then once we kind of broke through this like 33 area, would have been a good spot to get short, about 20 points away from the 21 EMA. These candles are big, guys. This is That would have been a sweet fucking trade to get short on, like kind of right here on that breakout. We broke out on the 1 minute. We broke out on the 2 minute. So yeah, the bus went off. We're gonna have to wait for the next. We're gonna have to wait for the next bus, Sharif. That's right. We missed the bus. It's like you're going to the bus station. There's a bus. Like, oh shit, let me get on, and it's already driving down the road. So it's all good. But anybody that's watching, now you see what my entry method is. You see what the strategy is. The idea is that the market moves in waves. And the reason why I don't get stressed out about this is because I know that the market gives us this opportunity a couple times a day. So if we missed it for today, we come back on Monday. That maybe today the purpose was me to just show up and then read this stuff to you guys, read it out loud so that it's ingrained in my memory better. Because when I'm reading this out loud, I'm not just doing it to try to help y'all and benefit you. No offense, like I'm here to make money and take care of myself too. I got a family and bills to pay. But when I'm speaking this out loud and almost like teaching it to whoever's watching, even if it's just 5 people, I'm learning it better. I'm better understanding it because I'm speaking it out loud and I'm hearing it and it's going into my brain. I'm not just reading it. So this benefits me, even if today's purpose was just for me to speak out loud and teach it to y'all. As you can see, the market's moving beautifully in that direction now. We didn't get in, but that's all right. But the idea is that the market moves in waves. So here's the wave. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So if the market's trending down, why would you try to pick the bottom to buy? Trade with the trend, sell high, buy low. So you want to get in for a short like here. Pretty simple, right? I mean, you could teach that to like a 10-year-old. A 10-year-old could look at this chart and go, maybe kind of like a smarter 10-year-old, like an honor student or something. Like, you get that? Does that make sense? They'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. All right. Just give them an account and see if they can do it like fake money. And they probably could, maybe, if they follow these rules. But that's it. So we didn't get in on it, which is fine. We still got another 50 minutes here where we might get another setup. We didn't touch the 21 EMA on the 2 minute, but we did on the 1 minute. If we would have got in at like the 33s, the market pushed all the way down 100 points right there. That was 100 points. So we would have taken out 2 contracts at like 15 points. If we even had the time, that moved so fast, we might have taken 2 out down here and then set our 4 contract stop loss to break even, and then took out another 2 here, and then we'd still be trailing possibly. And we would be very green on the day at the moment, obviously. So, that is a very highly acclaimed and recommended book. Yeah, man, I fucking love it. Excuse my language. But if you have not read that book, dude, that is like the book, because it doesn't talk about strategy or technical analysis and charts and all that bullshit. It talks about this, your fucking brain and your mind and your psychology and how a successful professional trader thinks in terms of probabilities, like a casino. So, dude, it's the number one. I've only read 1 book on trading. It's the number 1 book I recommend. I'd find it hard to believe that there's too many books that could be better than that out there, because it just gets to the nitty gritty about how like your brain works. We can all go on YouTube and look at different strategies and shit like that. Like, but these truths are what are more important. So yeah, right at 9 a.m., just like exactly. I mean, that was a news candle. So, okay, that was a news candle. So it would have been kind of risky maybe to jump in a trade there right at 9. But obviously that's when the move came. Usually I don't like to do that. We had Michigan consumer sentiment at 9 a.m. I kind of forgot about that. So normally we wouldn't want to be in a trade when that's happening, because even though anything can happen anytime, when there's a big news candle, sometimes you got to also remember risk management. You don't want to freaking blow up your account because that shit just goes crazy in the wrong direction. So usually we don't want to trade news candles anyway. The other book that guy wrote is called The Disciplined Trader, I think. But Trading in the Zone was a good one. So now we just need a pullback. And it may happen, it may not happen, but now we need to see it pull back before it continues down. You know, if today's a day where we just took no trades, whatever, like we didn't lose money, we didn't win money, but we have to stick to, for the next 20 trades, I want to follow my edge and my rules to know if this is actually working. There's no way to know if your edge and your strategy really works if you're only following it half the time, or 70% of the time, or 80% of the time. You need to follow your edge 100% of the time. You don't need to be right 100% of the time, but you need to follow your rules 100% of the time, because then you can look back at your last 20 trades and go, yeah, we won 70% of the time. The edge gives us a probability in our favor. And now I know that it works. But I'm also going to remember to continue to know that anything can happen, and we don't need to know on each individual trade what's going to happen. We just need to be right more than we're wrong. And when we're right, our wins need to be larger than our losses. That recipe of win rate and risk to reward ratio together is what creates profitability and payouts and making money in the markets. So markets continuing to push down. Obviously, we're not going to short here because it already happened. You know, obviously, kind of stinks when when you're looking at this and you didn't get in on a trade because you're just thinking about all the money you could have made, but like, doesn't matter, because a casino knows that over the long run it still makes money. It thinks about the bigger picture. And you know what? If you can think that way about trading, you can think that way about life. Think about life in a bigger picture, and it helps you be more grateful for the things you have. And if you're young, hopefully you still have many years to live. You might be going through a tough time in your life right now, but that's because you're zooming in on the daily time frame. What happened today, or what's happening today in your life? When you zoom out, think about where you've gone in the past 5 years or 10 years. I know for me, I've made a lot of improvements in my life in the past 5 or 10 years. I didn't used to own an RV. You know, at one point I lived with my parents. I didn't used to own a nice brand new pickup truck. I used to own a really old Jeep that was like a couple $1,000s when I was in high school. I used to drink alcohol like all the time and get drunk. Now I don't drink anymore. I used to not be able to run 5 miles consistently just a year ago. Now I can run 5 miles. At one point I didn't have a job. Now I have a job. It doesn't make that much money, but it's better than what I had, which was no job. So too often we get focused on the small picture. Just like when we're looking at the 1 minute time frame, we might be zooming in and looking at this one candle going up and down, just ticking up, up, down, looking at the 1 minute. It's just too zoomed in. You need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. What's the 2 minute chart doing? What's the 5 minute chart doing? What's the bigger picture doing on the hourly time frame? Are we going up or are we going down? Now we just put in a lower low. It still looks bearish. Market still looks bearish since December 18th. It's January 10th. For the past month, we've kind of been putting in waves going down. Looks bearish. So in life, but overall, the Nasdaq goes up. If you zoom way out, what does that curve at the bottom right of my screen say? You can't see it because my face is blocking it. But if I move this over, what's this blue curve down here doing at the bottom right? It's going up, because overall the Nasdaq just goes up year after year. With your life, our lives go up and up and up, and they get better each year. We might have ups and downs in our life, but overall life gets better. People used to not have electricity or air conditioning. Kings and queens, the most powerful people that walked this earth at one point, did not have air conditioning. And when it was hot in the summer, they sweated their fucking balls off. They were dying. I got air conditioning. I'm living better than a king did back then. So our lives get better as time goes on. The Nasdaq goes up as time goes on, but it's good to keep in mind the bigger picture of what's going on, not get too focused on the small picture. And and just know that anything can happen in life, anything can happen in the market. And if you can keep that at the forefront of your consciousness throughout each day, it'll help you to live a less stressed life, less anxiety, more at peace, and just spread love and not hate, and be nice to everyone around you. Pray, exercise, eat well, just do all that stuff. It's all connected. And if you haven't read any books on trading yet and you're still not profitable, I would definitely recommend, you don't have to read the book I read, but pick up a couple books. I'm not saying that you sit there and read all day. That's what's going to make you a consistent trader. At the end of the day, you need to get into the market and you need to place trades. You need to just jump in and start practicing and doing it. You're going to get better by doing it for a longer period of time. When we were practicing going door to door for sales, there was only so much role playing that I could do in the office and practicing our pitch before we just had to get out into a neighborhood, get out of the car, go knock on somebody's door and be nervous as hell and go, "Hi, how you doing today? Sorry to bother you. My name's Austin. I'm working on the state utility net metering program alongside the electric company. Did you guys get the RPS report with your electric bill next month?" It was just like a little insert that said that the government mandated we got to go green and renewable energy and all that kind of eventually you just had to start doing it. Knocking on doors, talking to people, having conversations, getting their electric bills, setting appointments, showing up to the house to run their credit, explain the solar, and signing a contract, getting installs. There's only so much practice and training you could do before you just had to start doing it. So trading, you really there's no magical click aha moment probably. You just have to show up every day and learn every day. You can always learn when you're losing. You learn from when you're winning. There's always something to learn every single day, and we can learn from one another. I hope some of the stuff I share with y'all today, you learned something, and everything I know is from information that was passed to me from somebody else, whether it was the Bible or the book I read on trading or just relationships and mentors I had in my life. I know what I know just from other people sharing information with me. But you don't want to be a know-it-all when you're trading and thinking you know what the market's going to do next, because again, anything can happen, and you don't need to know what's going to happen next to be able to, in the long term, make money. As long as you're winning more than you're losing, you're going to have losing days. And I know I keep repeating the same thing, and the reason I'm repeating it is because maybe some of you are just tuning in now or haven't heard it, but I'm also saying it again so that it goes in my brain so that I remember. Because this is new information to me. I just read this book this week. It's brand new information that I've never read before or believed before. So my brain is literally physically making new connections that didn't exist before, that are going to transform my beliefs, which are going to transform my results in trading over time. So that's pretty much it. You got the 5 truths, 7 principles of consistency. We got the market down there at 20,911, below this pivot point, 20,984 pivot point, 21 EMAs up there, almost at 21,000 even. Starting to finally maybe get a retracement or a pullback now, maybe. And then there is no more pivot points. The market has freaking pushed through all the pivot points, okay? So the chances, the probability of it continuing to go down are not impossible. They're not zero, but it's very unlikely that the market is going to continue to push down. But it's not impossible because, again, anything can happen, and I'm not going to try to predict or know what's going to happen. But generally speaking, we have these pivot points, right? So this is an indicator I use on TradingView. It's called pivot points. I'll toggle it on and off. It's these horizontal orange lines. So we have the first one is at 21,289. Next one's 21,230, 21,159, 21,101, 21,043, 20,984. When that 7:30 news came out this morning, the market dropped like 250 points. The market was closed yesterday. A lot of people put in sell orders at 7:30 and dumped a bunch of positions, pushed the market down. It retraced up a little bit, about halfway up that move, and then continued down and just blasted through all these pivot points. So a lot of movement in the market today. People made a lot of money today. The market moved very well today. That's what we want to see, as opposed to what happened on Wednesday. Wednesday was terrible for our strategy. If we pull up the 15-minute range, it just kind of ranged sideways. So these purple horizontal lines is the top and bottom of the 15-minute range, and the market just chopped. Just basically kind of did break out below, and then just it went sideways though. There was no like clear trend with the market on Wednesday. We took one trade and lost like $100, very small, 5 contracts. We took partial profits and then got stopped out in the red. Just didn't work. Didn't really even follow our rules. So I can't even be upset that it didn't work, because I didn't even follow my edge on that. But today, the market moved beautifully on this bear flag right at 9 a.m. It was a little risky because of that news, but you got to there's risk in every trade. So we're just kind of sitting here waiting to see if we get a pullback to this 21 EMA or not, to look to get into short still, because the market's still trending down. But I'm still at no trades. If you're just tuning in now, I've literally sat here talking since the market's open and not placed any trades. I don't want to say it fully got distracted by talking about all this stuff, because at 9 a.m., like it would have been kind of risky to get into a trade anyway with that news candle, but I don't know. Kind of get the break below this wick right here, get short right here, would have been a good entry. Once we came up and tapped that 21 EMA. I like using the 21 EMA as kind of like a strategy for where to get in. So if you're shorting, you kind of want it to pull back close to the 21 EMA, and then you don't want to get too short too far away from the 21 EMA, because your risk to reward is just not as good. You want your stop to be like around the top of this previous candle, or like maybe the 21 EMA. Even that would have been like a 20+ point stop loss. So kind of a big, you don't want to trade too many contracts. But and then if we're longing, if we're putting in higher highs and higher lows, we want our entry to be as close to a pull back to the 21 EMA. Usually not more than like 20 points away from it, because you're going to have like a 20-point stop loss at most with this strategy. So hopefully with a really good entry, you minimize how much you're in drawdown too. But again, even with all those technicals and having a good strategy, all those other truths that I said still apply. Anything can happen, and you don't need to know what's going to happen next in order to make money. Like, all of that still applies. So we kind of got another bear flag on this 1 minute chart here. We're pulling back up to the 21 EMA here on the 2 minute. We gotta stay below 21 EMA, stay below this pivot point, and then maybe we do get more continuation to the downside. I don't know. We broke through these support areas right here from January 2nd and December 20th. So the market could continue to push down here, maybe. Not sure. Got this 2 minute candle closing in 1 minute and 9 seconds. Right now, our bias is the market's trending down, so we would be looking for shorts if we were going to enter a trade. Kind of closed above the 21 EMA, but doesn't mean anything on the 1 minute. That can happen, and market could still start pushing down. Or we could start seeing a reversal here. Anything can happen. We don't know. That's why we're never trying to time the bottom here. Like, people could think, oh, maybe this is the bottom. Maybe this is the bottom. Maybe this is the bottom. Like, That's just too difficult to do. I know there's strategies out there and people that probably talk about ways to do that with, you know, order blocks and Fibonacci and you know, all these different like indicators, but to me it's just too difficult to try to do that. I'd rather trade with the trend of the market. If it's going down, I want to be shorting. But it's like, how do you know where to short? Well, you wait for little pullbacks and then breakouts. I'm a breakout momentum trader. So looking at the bigger picture and the smaller picture, it looks like the market does have the probability of continuing to go down. We just got to wait and see. But again, anything can happen. We don't need to know what's going to happen to make money in the long run over the next couple weeks with trading this edge. We got this one closing in a minute and 12 seconds. Again, staying on the 2-minute versus the 1-minute kind of eliminates some of the noise and volatility. It kind of helps you remain a little bit calmer to see the overall trend here instead of getting too narrow focused on the 1-minute. So we're pulling nicely up to the 21 EMA right now. But anything in the market could just start pulling back up again now, or it could continue this trend. Don't know. Sharif says pushing. Some people will go, oh, I'm gonna, I don't know. So far, the move I really liked was this 9 a.m. push. That was pretty nice. Push on down. They say that I'm not thinking anything. I'm thinking anything can happen, Sharif. I'm not thinking I know what it's going to do. I got to react and wait for it to show me what it's going to do. See? That it all goes back to everything I just said. What are you thinking it's going to happen? See, we all try to think about that we know what it's going to do. That's not how you trade. And it seems like that's how you would be a good trader. You would think traders that are profitable and make money, it's because they know what the market's going to do more than they don't. And that's how they make money. That's not necessarily how they're consistent, profitable traders. They think in terms of probability and they react to certain things. And right now, I'm not taking any guess until I put that order in on what I believe it's going to do. And even when I believe it's going to do what I believe it's going to do, I don't know it because I know that anything can happen, and you don't need to know what's going to happen next in order to make money in the long run. You just need to be right more than you're wrong. That you're following what you have noted. Yep. So right now we're kind of chopping along the 21 EMA on the 2-minute and this pivot point right here. So that's what I think is happening because that's what I see is happening. And I don't know who's going to win, the Bulls or the Bears. Yeah, it kind of looks like the Bulls are trying to push the price up here. I don't know. Just got to wait and see. We might have missed our shot right here at 9 a.m. Shit happens. You know, sometimes you only get one shot per day, you know, if you're at the club or something back when you were a younger club and then there's a girl, you know, walking by, looking at you. She might only be there for 30 seconds and kind of waiting for you to go over there and talk to her before she walks away. And then you just missed your chance for the rest of the night. You got to go home and come back next weekend. That's just how it is. You might only get one girl, one chance right there. If you didn't pull your trigger and go up to her and talk to her, that's it. She kind of keep looking at you like, is this guy going to come talk to me? Is he going to, I'm looking at him, basically telling him that I'm interested, waiting for him to come over. All right, never mind. He's not doing anything. So now I'm just going to walk away. I'm leaving with my girlfriends. Now she's gone. You know, this was that girl right here. This was her right here. She was like, you want it? Come and get it, because I'm going all the way downtown for you. I'm going to go all the way down on you. It's like the same thing. Or sometimes there might be another girl that pops up out of nowhere, like, oh shit, there's another one. But there's no guarantees. You never know. Now the market, now if you want me to tell you what I think's happening, I think the market's now trying to push back up, because now we're closing above that pivot point. We're putting in higher highs on these 2-minute candles above the 21 EMA. That trend may be over now, and we may have to wait until Monday to try again. So obviously we want to be making money. That's the goal of this. We didn't put any money on the board yet today, but the market could go down too. I mean, you don't know until it starts printing itself. And then even when you think you know, you still don't know, because remember, you don't know what it's going to do. It's random. Which sounds like, how would you win then if it's random? Because playing blackjack is random too for the casinos, but they still win. When somebody goes to play blackjack at the casino, like let's say I go to sit down at a blackjack table right now and I play blackjack. The casino does not know if they're going to beat me or if I'm going to beat the casino in that single game. But they don't need to know who's going to win, because they know that over the course of a whole year, they win more than they lose. That's what they know. And that's all you need to know. You don't need to know that, hey, when I place this trade, I need to know that I'm going to win. That's the trick. That's how you can be certain about an uncertain thing. You can be certain about a random market. It makes it might not make any sense to you when you hear that, but it makes sense to me, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that. You don't have to be some brainiac or super smart person. In fact, some of the smartest people there are not successful traders, because they overthink and they overanalyze and they over try to predict and know what the market's going to do, that they end up being an analysis paralysis and not making a decision. They get too emotional because they're humans, and they're not good traders. You want to be like, to be a good trader, you want to be like not too smart and not too stupid. You want to be like kind of like right in the middle. Otherwise, all these people that have 170 IQ and are rocket scientists would all be successful day traders. They wouldn't be making $100,000 as a scientist somewhere. They would be making $10 million a year as a day trader, but they're not, because their brains don't think that way. So, I mean, think about it. There's engineers that are way smarter than me, way smarter, and they only make like $150,000 a year, which to some people may be a lot of money, but I was making like $300,000 a year, knocking on doors, selling solar panels, like smoking weed, fucking getting drunk every night. And I was making more money than doctors and lawyers. So making a lot of money isn't necessarily tied to how smart you are. I mean, look at like athletes and rappers and shit. There's some dumbasses that play basketball and football and rap, and look, they make millions. No offense, like, you don't have to be that smart. But anyway, I just got too caught up in trying to analyze and predict and know what it's going to do, and that's not what a good trader does. So right now, there's no moves to be made. If you're wondering why I'm not placing any trades or doing anything, is because the market's now closing above the 21 EMA, and above the pivot point. It's not giving us a breakout on the 2 minute. So sometimes we only get one setup per day. And if this was it, we missed it. Some days we get 2 or 3. Like Tuesday afternoon, we got multiple, but that's because it happened in the afternoon. I only trade 8 to 10, but that day I was off from work and I decided to trade a little bit more, and I ended up going on tilt though. But the market sometimes will give you more opportunities if you can sit here all day. I don't have the ability to sit here all day though. But yeah, now it looks like the market's kind of starting to pull back. On the 1 minute, we're closing above the 21 EMA. We're kind of ramping up now, but I don't really like the idea of this short anymore on the 1 minute. But like this was probably the move right here. Now we're kind of in between these two pivot points. Like, do you want to get long right below this pivot point? Like, I don't know, because that could act as resistance. I know anything could happen, but it's just not following a lot of our checklist and our rules anymore. You know, it's all good. I wish I could back up my account. It's hitting me hard. Bro, you need to just move forward. It's like that girl that you break up with. Like, just move on, dude. Delete her number, delete her pictures, delete all of it, dude. Get rid of anything she has at your house. Just move on. Like, if you blow up an account, it's in the past. You don't got a time machine to go backwards. Like, just know that there's more opportunities moving forward. It's all good. Don't even worry about it. Too many of y'all are sitting there. You get a random text from her, dude. Ignore that. Ignore her. Ignore her. Energy flows where attention goes. So if you give her attention, energy will flow to her, dude. No, you need to block her. So you need to block off thinking about that you blew that account last week or you made that mistake, whatever, dude. You're going to live another day to trade another day, God willing, and you'll be all right. Go trade with a demo account, Sarif. If you don't have money for a funded account, go try to find a free company that lets you trade just on demo, so you can trade with me and or trade your own trades and then just practice, so you still feel like you're showing up and doing something that's moving you forward before you get a funded account again. Yeah, it's because you made a technical mistake. It happens. It could happen to anybody, dude. Somebody that was trading for 8 years could have made the mistake that you made. You were on the wrong chart. You weren't paying attention. You traded minis instead of micros, and you ended up losing a ton of money. Honestly, like, I could have done that if I wasn't paying attention. That's why you got to pay attention. But that could happen to some of the best traders. You got to pay attention. We're dealing with a lot of money here. This is big stakes. This ain't freaking, little bit of money. It's a lot of money. So you got to pay attention. But it's all good. Like, you'll be all right. Maybe go exercise. I don't know if you run or exercise. Go to the gym or something. Like, go, because all that energy needs to get released out of you in a healthy way, not in an unhealthy way. Exercise is always a healthy way to release energy. So you'll be all right. So I don't know. The market looking like it wants to go up now. We got VWAP up there, 21,120. I'm sure at some point we're gonna work our way back to VWAP now. So now we haven't put in a higher high that would be above this like 21,069 area. So right now I'm kind of thinking that the market wants to be bullish, but it took some time. Like, I couldn't make that decision when we were right here, but now that we're up here, like, it looks like the market wants to work its way back up to VWAP, which is up there at the 21,120 area up here. But right now I'm not seeing like really good waves. It's kind of like pushing up, choppy, pushing up, choppy. Like this was like a nice clean push down, pull back to the 21 EMA, and then a push down. Right now, we just got like a big U shape here. I don't know. These candles are pretty big. Like these are like this blue candle right here is, how many points is that? It's 45 points right here. Like these are big candles. I have to stretch them out on my screen like that. So it's like, when we're this far away from the 21 EMA, do I want to get long? Like, I don't know. It's kind of too much risk. You know what I mean? I just don't feel real good about it. So this was kind of the move to take, but I was kind of talking a little bit too much, maybe a little distracted, but it's all good. I think this all still happened for a reason anyway, for me to talk all this stuff out loud that I just learned. I really don't have anybody to, a whole lot of people to talk about this with. But so come back on Monday. Still got another 23 minutes here, kind of pushing up some more. Back above this pivot point now and approaching the 15-minute range again. And VWAP up there, 21,119. Like I said, we're probably most likely, VWAP doesn't like to get ignored for too long, man. She's like that annoying girlfriend. Like she just can only, eventually you got to respond to her and get back to her. Like you got to come back to the VWAP. So there's that yellow line right there. She doesn't like to, she likes to get touched once in a while, So she might be able to be ignored for a little bit, but eventually you gotta give her some love. Pretending to be all right. Don't pretend to be all right. Just be all right. You're all right. You got food, water, shelter, right? You got God. You're all right. You'll be all right. It's like, do I want to get, I guess if you were going to get long, like just bounce off the 21 EMA down there, like basically, maybe if you were going to do it, you would have done it like, kind of had like this mini like bull flag on the 1 minute and then pop on up right here. You would have never been in drawdown if you entered down here at the 973s, but I don't know, I don't know. There's a lot of bearish bias on time frames, but Nasdaq's overall are going to go up. So do you know what is the most valuable thing in the world? In terms of money, it's the International Space Station. I don't know. God is the highest frequency, the highest power. So I would put probably value on something that has the highest energy and highest frequency would be God. Can't really put a price on that. Yeah, time, true. Yeah, that too. You don't get it back. Only moving in one direction. But so that's why if you can trade really well, you can afford to have more time in your life because you only trade for a couple hours. You got the rest of the day. And you can't get that back. You can't get time back. So yes, time is the most valuable thing in our world, which is also a construct. It's not real like reality is. A whole interesting topic and discussion in itself, but that's right. So you got to use it wisely. If we all have the same amount of hours in a day, 24 hours, how are you going to use your time? Are you going to sit on Instagram and sit there and scroll and look at a bunch of bullshit? Or are you going to go for a run and an exercise, do something that adds value? I sat there and read a book for a while. I wasn't looking at Instagram. I wasn't looking at Facebook. I wasn't on the phone with the girlfriend or anything like that. Like there was times where I was just focused on reading my book and I put my phone on do not disturb. And I used that time to focus on reading. We all have the same amount of time. So, and everything's competing for your attention. Yeah. That's why, Sharif, if you got to wait a little bit longer than some other people to get an account, I would go get a demo account and just trade for free and practice for a couple of weeks or months. I don't know if you've gotten any payouts yet, but if you haven't, it sounds like you need to practice some more too. We are pushing back up to VWAP right there. So our target would be this area right here. I'm not in a trade. I mean, I wish I was long, but I just don't like that we haven't pulled back to the 21 EMA, but we really don't have to. It could just keep pushing up. I don't know. No, I don't want to just place a, all right, let's screw it. Let's just see what happens kind of trade. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do a, oh, let's just jump in long and see what happens. Even though we know that anything can happen and we don't need to know what's going to happen, I still don't want to do that. That's not how a professional trades. Professional doesn't just go like, all right, there's a good chance it's going to go up to VWAP. Let's screw it. Let's just see what happens. Put on a trade. Just because we haven't placed any trades today and I want to make something happen, like, that's not a good discipline or responsible way of trading. That's gambling. You might as well just go to the casino and pull the slot machine. I know we've been talking about a casino, but I'm trying to talk from the perspective of being the casino owner, not the gambler that goes to the casino. We want to be like the owner of the casino and think the way that they think. So that's how you do it. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't have to go to VWAP. It could come like close to VWAP and come back down, but it's probable that it's going to go to VWAP. It usually likes to at least go back and touch VWAP. And then if the 21 EMA crosses above VWAP, it'll probably start to be bullish throughout the rest of the day, maybe. I don't know. But we're going to be leaving here in 17 minutes. I got another job I got to go to. Yeah, I don't know about that, Sharif. I know guys that consistently make $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a day that use 1, 5, 15-minute hourly candles to base their trades. So I disagree with you on that, but there's different styles and different types of traders that use different methods. There's some people that only trade on higher time frames, or there's all different kinds of traders and different instruments you can trade in different markets and styles, swing trading, scalping, guys that stay in trades for multiple days. But what they don't do is just go like, all right, let's just place a trade here and see what happens. Because although that may lead to a win, that's not going to lead to consistent wins. Then you get a false sense of, oh, that worked. So now I can just randomly place trades in the future because it worked then. That's not how it works. You might as well take a motorcycle and do 200 miles per hour right through an intersection, like right through a red light, and be like, we're just going to see if it works. Let's just do 200 miles per hour through this red light, and hopefully we don't hit a car and die. And it works, and now you're like, oh, that worked. I can do it again. And then, dude, it's just a matter of time before you're going to die. So that's not how you trade. It was my fault. I didn't explain it more to you. My bad. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we're not hedge fund managers over here trading with billions of dollars. So I don't know how those guys trade. Those guys are on a whole different level. That's not the kind of audience I'm speaking to. If you're a hedge fund manager that makes $1 billion a year and you're watching my channel, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life right now. Like, I don't know. We're not talking to those people. Those people are probably fucking in the Caribbean right now on their $300 million yacht right now because it's cold as shit in New York. They're probably somewhere very nice, not watching this YouTube channel. Yeah, I don't know how those guys trade. I don't need to know how those guys trade to make money, though. I don't know. That's a whole different level. There's levels to this game. Those guys are also a lot older than me too. They're in their 50s and 60s. I'm 31 years old. You gotta start somewhere. I wish I would have been more interested in this stuff when I was in college. Instead, I was too interested in chasing girls and going to bars and stuff and going to parties. I wish I would have got this serious about trading when I was in college and studied finance instead of business or engineering, like money. But you can't go backwards. It's all good. I got a business degree, but I wish I would have studied finance and like studied trading because I, you know, but there we go. There's that push to VWAP. Like I said, kind of got like a little bull flag there. I didn't like the idea that we missed this trade and now we're kind of reversing. So we're probably not going to place any trades for today, but especially now, but this was kind of like that was kind of like the fucking move too, I guess. We kind of pulled back all the way to the 21 EMA. We were 25. Yeah, like 10 points away there, and then we got that continuation. So I missed it again. So we had two moves. Two moves right here. Here's the other one. I wasn't looking at the 1 minute. I think I'm going to have to turn the chat off and stop. I'm just going to be talking, but I'm not going to be reading your comments anymore. No offense, because I have ADD and it's distracting me. I can't imagine if I had 1,000 followers right now all fucking spamming the chat with buy now, sell now, do this. Like I don't know how people do that, but I might just close the chat, not so you can't chat, but so that I can't read it, because I'm getting distracted by shit like Sharif saying like, oh, the big traders don't even use the 1 minute and the 5 minute and then I'm talking about that instead of seeing that the market just fucking beautifully created a bull flag and then pushed on up. So no offense to you, Sharif. I'm not mad at you. You can, it's not your fault that I'm distracted. I'm supposed to be able to have self-control and control myself. So if that's something I learned today, that's what I learned today. But we've missed two moves now. This one, we started getting above the 21 EMA. We're now putting in higher high right here. And then we pulled back to the 21 EMA. And then we kind of broke out. So we would have got long at 940, like 7 maybe. Like if we would have put an order in for like right here at the 82 area, the market pushed up 92, 102, 112, like 30 fucking points, dude. That would have been a beautiful trade. So there's our two trades for the day. And we didn't take either of them. But it's all good. I'm not even worried about it because, I mean, hopefully this is the beginning of a journey that lasts for years of trading. And these opportunities are going to come every week. We don't trade a strategy that only presents itself once every fucking year. It's like almost every day these opportunities present themselves, which makes you feel so good that you have like a limitless amount of opportunities to extract money out of this market for hopefully years to come. Now the market's kind of bouncing off the VWAP. That kind of move is now finished. We pushed up, created the pole. Here's the flag. Here's the push to VWAP right here on this yellow line. That was where you would have jumped in for a little long. You would have got in at like this 82 area, that quick push to VWAP, like right on the 2 minute, it looks like this. We would have targeted VWAP for like 30 points, set a stop loss of like, 20 points. We would have caught like a 1-to-1. So nothing too crazy. But yeah, now it's over. So that's going to be it for our trading session. I know it's 9 minutes shy of 10 a.m., but we're not going to get another setup like that within the next 10 minutes. And I know you're not supposed to know what it's going to do, but I've been doing this long enough to like know that much. We're not going to get another bull or bear flag in the next 10 minutes. It's impossible. there are certain things that are not possible. Like, it's impossible for the market to just probably jump up 1,000 points right now or jump down, and that means the world's like fucking ending or something. So, that's it. Honestly, like, I didn't really like this trade back here as much because it was during a news session, news candle, so that was kind of risky. I mean, there's always risk, but I don't like to take trades where there's like too much risk. But this was a nice spot to get long right here that we missed. But at least you watching this are like, oh, okay, now I see a strategy. I see what he does. Like, I think I can do that. And then you try to do that and make some money maybe. I want you guys to make money too. We can all make money. That's the cool thing. Like, I don't need to like protect the strategy and hide it, not tell people. It's not like that. So I hope you got value out of today's stream and learned something. I did. And I just reinforced like these rules by talking them out loud. We'll come back on Monday. Market's pulling back down now. So it's like, but this was kind of the spot right here to take some profits out of the market. I just wasn't paying attention. Kind of missed it. We kind of kept pulling up, going up, and then we got this nice pullback right here. This is close enough for the 21 EMA to get me excited about, all right, now let's see if we kind of ramp up and push off of that. And we did right here. Right there. Right at the top. You would have been grabbing that right at the top a little bit, kind of. So, counts at 49,893. We got one trading day on this. If we place a trade each day next week, we'll be at 5. Maybe we can hit our profit target by the end of next week. We'll see. And I think I'm gonna let the chat run next week, but I'm not gonna have it open. I'm not even going to have this screen open on my other screen where I can see my stream and these comments. No offense. We're going to try that for a little bit. See how that goes with me paying attention. It's cost me a lot of money in my life helping people. I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm a pretty good person, and I've helped a lot of people in my life to the detriment of myself, where it's cost me money or problems by being too nice. And so right now I need to focus on myself. I'm still going to talk and you can listen, but I'm probably not going to be interacting with the chat for a little bit until at least I get consistent and put some money in my pocket. Then I'll come back to talking to y'all more. So I think that's a good plan. And then we can start doing like giveaways and fun shit and talking to you and all, but I have to earn that first. I have to like get money first before I can do that. I got my own bills to pay and stuff like that. So I will see y'all Monday. Appreciate everybody that showed up and liked the video and was here. And there it is. There's a Nasdaq futures trading live YouTube. Peace out. Have a good weekend. God bless. I'll talk to y'all next week. See ya.